Welcome to my laboratory, where safety is #1 priority. They work in cold weather really well. Alright guys, so as you may or may not know, Elite Force has gotten licensing from Glock to produce they're already making, you can see it on eBay, a gas blowback licensed Glock. It's going to be the first actual Glock on the market. WE has been making gas-powered Glocks for years, or Glocks, but those aren't officially licensed, and I'm pretty sure they got sued over it. I don't really know. But so today I thought we'd look at one of the OG copies, the APS ACP CO2 blowback pistol. So the APS ACP is obviously a Glock carbon copy. This is one of the original basic models. At first they came in two colors. They came in the straight black and they came in the tan versions. A little while after that they got Cryptek colors and ATAX colors and a whole bunch of different camos, and then they disappeared. I think you can still buy them on APS's website. If you do that, you're going to have to pay hella shipping costs because they're buying direct from the manufacturer. So I got each of these on eBay for $100, and they came with 2 magazines. Now the ACP is different from other CO2 blowback pistols because it has a proprietary trademarked or copyrighted CO2 system. You see there you got 2 rings. The gun comes with one of these skull-shaped keys with a small end and a thick end. And you extend the small end all the way out, and then you take the big side and pull it out. There you go. And the CO2, actually I've got a used one in here right now, goes in the magazine upside down. Normally how CO2 mags work is that they have a pin in the top of the magazine and you drop the CO2 in and then you seal it. What APS has done is actually you load the CO2 in upside down, and this lock here actually has got 2 layers of O-rings to keep the CO2 from escaping out the bottom, and then the CO2 fills up the chamber from the bottom. This is supposedly make the gun shoot more consistent. These O-rings tends to fail. The guns do come with extra O-rings. They come with like 2 or 4, I don't remember how many extra O-rings. I've used them all. And so that's probably my main gripe with the gun, is that the CO2 mags, after some use, will leak. What I tend to do is I put some silicone oil right where the O-rings lie, right there, to try and help seal that up. But once in a while, once every few games or so, an O-ring just pops or the gun just won't seal properly. There's also a benefit though, because it works like a fuse in an AEG, where if you didn't have the fuse and you fried your gun, you need to replace a wiring gear, you need to replace the gearbox. I've never had to buy an extra magazine. I've only ever had to get more O-rings. Then you just slide the cap right back on like that, and you're good to go. So as you notice, this one doesn't have an orange tip. First off, these are both completely stock. They handle CO2 perfectly because they're built for it. This one doesn't have an orange tip, this one does, but if you look down the barrel of this one, you can see the orange tip has been expertly torn off by yours truly. So, at least to the best of my knowledge, the APS ACP is the only Glock style pistol that's built to take CO2. The other green gas models, like the WE ones or the M22 or any of those other guns, those are green gas guns that they've made CO2 mags for after building the gun, which means that the internals of those guns are not exactly built to handle the higher pressure power of CO2. Let's take a look at the internals. So it disassembles like any other Glock. So just remove your magazine, rack the gun, and then just pull down on the 2 tabs on the side of the frame there. like so, and it comes right apart. So on the internals, you'll notice it uses a reinforced polycarbonate air nozzle and piston. It is as a reinforced recoil spring, and then right there's a little wheel right in there. That's your hop up. It's a little stiff, but it's not really a big deal considering it's not a sniper. It's not a long range pistol. Any adjustments to your hop up that you make, unless you're shooting at extended non-CQB ranges, won't probably be that noticeable. When you put it back together, you just reverse it. You just line up the slide in the frame like so, and there you go. And then pull back until it locks in place, and then you're good to go. Just give it a few slides to make sure, and then you're good to shoot. It has a working slide catch right there. So even without a magazine, if you push up on that, and can't try to do one-handed. See, you push up on that and pull the slide back, and it'll lock it in place. Or if you have a empty magazine, and you stick that in and pull back, and the feeding knob at the end of the magazine will lock the slide in place as well. Pretty cool. Looking down the sights, they're really nice white dots. They're accurate, at least mine have been. I don't know if they glow in the dark. On later models, they actually make they actually make glow sights that you can stick right here, and you put those, and you just take the slide off and unscrew a couple screws, and these pop off. You put those in. Yeah, safety is in the trigger. I don't really like that because if the gun is not cocked, the trigger is not forward, so you can't compute the safety. So it's only after you cock the gun, the safety becomes available. See that red line? That means it's on fire. Push that in, and it's on. It's on safe. It won't fire. But usually I just keep the gun not cocked until I'm ready to play, which can be my death if I forgot to cock the pistol and pull it out and try and shoot somebody, and it's obviously not primed. Cleaning your guns. I always, once between either every game or every other game, like every time I go out to Airsoft, before I go, I will take it apart and clean it and re-lube it. It's really easy. I just take the two parts off. I wipe it down with some paper towel or any other nice light cloth, and then put a little bit of silicone oil on all the parts that are moving. And you can easily tell because you can see right here, anything that's got like the silver showing through from the black paint, that's where you want to lube up. That's obviously because it's making contact with another piece of metal. Slides metal, internals are metal and polycarbonate, magazines metal. Lower frame is a polycarb, I believe. It's that or ABS plastic, I really can't tell. But it's solid. I've dropped both the guns and the magazines plenty of times. No big deal. So these exact model of guns you really can't find anymore because APS has actually released their new line. They've got a few. They got the APS Shark, and a couple of different models of that. They have it's the same base model. It's the ACP, except they have a full auto function, and they have different slide cuts, and the frame looks a little different. So pretty much it's just a more expensive, fancier version of this gun. That being said, those guns cost over $150, while this one was $100 and comes with 2 magazines. Accuracy, the gun for me at least, it just works. That's all I really want. It uses CO2, but it's still CQB legal. And that's great because in cold weather, green gas tends to not work so well, and this works great in cold weather. The barrel is not threaded, but you can buy threaded barrel attachments, which means you again need to take it apart and then put the new barrel with the threading in, and then you have a threaded barrel. It comes with so many attachments. You can buy now you can buy 50-round magazines. They release those along with the full auto versions, so you never have to reload, or you can speeds off your way to victory. It's got decent traits. They're painted on. Right here you can see it's just like the 6mm, whatchamacallit. So yeah, the gun works. The only other problems I've ever had with this gun is just the leaky mag issue, but since I've got 2 of these and they both come with 2 mags, I've got 4 magazines. So if I'm playing and one mag goes down, I still got 3 extras. I'll take it home, replace the O-rings, lube it up, and it's ready to go. I've never had it jam or break on me if it wasn't a fault of my own. If you gotta be careful with those CO2 canisters, because if you don't tighten them all the way down and it's leaking even a little bit, you won't get a full cycle when you pull the trigger, and then the slide can lock in like a half locked position right there. See where the slide isn't all the way back to the slide catch, but it's still kind of locked. I think that's just that's because the strength of the recoil springs on the internals, where they're pushing back quite a bit, where you don't have enough power going backwards, you're not going to have enough power to go all the way back forward. Speaking of that, the kick on this gun is amazing. It's just so much fun to shoot. It's also really loud. That might just be because it's a CO2 powered weapon. But it's just so much fun. As for CO2 consumption, each magazine is only going to give you about, or each CO2 cartridge, I mean, is only going to give you about 2 to 2.5 magazines, which is not very good. For a blowback weapon, it's alright. Like if you're running a Desert Eagle, you're going to get less. If you're running a non-blowback pistol or revolver, you're going to go way more. Each magazine holds about 22 rounds, 21, 22, or 21 plus 1 in the chamber. So that's 44 rounds between reloads, or between re-gas your magazines. But all in all, it's very good. It's a lot of fun to dual wield these. Upgrade parts. I mentioned that there's tons of APS upgrade parts, and I've heard with a little modification you can use other Glock models as upgrade parts. I don't have any other Glock models, and I wasn't going to go out and buy them to do that. But I've seen on the internet where people tried replacing slides or replacing internals with other parts, and they somehow made them work. I'll just Google it and see if that's something you really want to do. So yeah, there's that. I would tell you to buy this gun if you could still find them, but you can't. That being said, the Elite Force Glock is coming out. They got a couple versions that are coming out for like $134 and they're green gas only, but I've heard that they're planning on releasing CO2 models later in the year. Now, if that does happen, I might maybe grab some. I don't know if if they make the green gas models first, I don't know if the CO2 models are going to have the correct internals to handle CO2, because I'm not going to buy a gun knowing that it's going to break. But if they do it right and they have different internals for the different model of gun, then I will purchase that. That's really on them. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, that's my entire overview of this weapon. If you like what I do here, leave a like, leave a sub. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. And like that, I'm nearly out of CO2, but I still have ammo left. Yeah, it's not getting a full cycle anymore. There we go, now I'm out of ammo. Yeah, a real quick thing, I just came back from outside and I just want to say these sights are glow in the dark. If I turn my lights off, you're not going to be able to see them too well, but I was walking back up with all the lights off. You could definitely tell that they were glowy. So that's kind of cool. And also when the gun stopped cycling it there at the end, that was at the end of the second mag. So if you're not in super cold weather and you're not firing like a maniac, these will probably last you up to 2.5 mags in like warm weather. So yeah, the gun's not broken, it runs fine.